Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're on it for another day. I am going to be working on, I think I'm going to try and get the front cradle put together for the Supra. But being that the season is upon us, this car show tomorrow, I'm going to do a couple oil changes. I think I'm going to change the oil on the Corvette and the GTR. Maybe do a brake inspection on the GTR because it hasn't happened in a while. And then if I've got time, I think I'm going to put the front cradle together on for the Supra. So both the cars, the GTR and the Corvette being a dry sump system, the GTR having a tray underneath. I figured I'd make a video on changing the oil on both of them. Plus there's a few little tricks with the GTR, little tips that people might not know. So I'm going to get them up on the hoist and we'll make a video and I'll show you what's going on. Okay guys, so it's on the hoist. Now, I would never recommend lifting a car. You can see that when I stand beside the hoist, I've got, 75% of the car behind the hoist. It's not that I don't know how to lift the car. Clearly, I use the hoist all the time. However, the lifting pads on this, the lifting points, right there and right there, I had to move this arm back far enough that this arm, because the car is so low, if I move this, so it was like, let's say here, right, I move this up, this arm swings underneath the car and I can't lift the car because this is too high. So my only option was to shift the whole car down so that I could get onto the lifting pads. There's this one here and that one and the same on that side. So you can see just how close I am right there because I've got to use the pad. So if the car was up further, this would be swung out more and I'd be underneath. But, so this is a buddy's car. It's actually Mike, a buddy of mine, he bought it for his wife. I don't think she's driven it in 2 or 3 years. I definitely drive it. Me and Jay drive it more than they do.
Don't tell Mike.
Don't tell Mike, yeah. But this is a, Jay pointed out, this is a sweet Canadian model here. Here we go, we got a winter plug-in, just in case, you're driving it in the dead of winter. But we're gonna get on the oil change here. So, for a lot of you, I'm not sure, people that have GTRs, they think that it's got to go to the dealer to get changed, to get everything, all the work done on it. It's just not true, guys. It's an oil change like any other oil change. We're going to take these two 10 mils out. There's two 10 mils right here we're going to take out. These caps got to come off. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 10 mils under there. These two 10 mils. And then these clips got to come out. So to take this off, all you need is a 10 mil and a straight screwdriver. So we're going to get that off. There is a couple little tricks once we start putting the oil in and doing the oil change. I'll show you that as we get into it. So, I'm going to show you one of the little tricks that I was talking about. In the GTR is this. So, I don't know if it'll focus there. See that washer right there? That copper washer? This is the wrong washer. The GTR is one of very few cars, and I just happen to have one in my pocket here because I went and bought it, that uses this. This, again, let's see if I can get that to focus for you guys. This is a crush washer. And it's designed for a one-time use. And when you put the bolt back in, it crushes this washer. And what happens is, 9 times out of 10, when you take it somewhere, they don't have this crush washer. So what do? They put another brass washer on, and just think that, you know what I mean, as a replacement, because once you crush this, they've made this. They've made that it threads on, and you can't see, but there's actually a fine point there. See it right there by my finger, and it's got threads on it, and you have to thread that on. You can't pull it on and off. It threads on, and then when you put it in, it crushes this washer down. I'm not saying that you have to take your GTR to a dealership to do an oil change. It is a simple oil change. Take the shield off, make sure you clean it all up. We're going to do it all correctly. This is one of the tricks. There's 2 tricks to the car. This is one of them. They're like $1, and you should be able to buy it from your Nissan dealer. If they don't have it in stock, definitely order it, because this is important to changing the oil on the GTR. Is that crush washer that's for the oil. And again, I knew I was going to pull it off and find that somebody I didn't do the last oil change on it. I think he took it to Nissan, and I'm guessing they didn't have it in stock, so they threw that one in. So now that we've got the right washer, we'll get back at it.
This one here.
So when I'm putting on, and again, I'm just because the car, I use a stock, like an OEM Nissan filter. When it comes to the Corvettes and the GTRs and stuff like that, I mean, I'm sure there's filters that work just as good. I just like using the stock one. I also like adding, I'm going to add just a little bit of oil in it, just because it's a performance car. I hate thinking that it fires up and it's dry. I shouldn't say dry. It's not going to be dry, but I want to fire up. I want to get that oil through as much as possible. So if I can use a little bit of that oil, I'll lube up this oil, the ring, and away we go. So, well, that last little bit of oil is dripping into there. I'll show you, we got the new filter up there, nice and clean. I cleaned everything off around it. The car is spotless, but I'll tell you, I think we're probably going to be doing an exhaust on it shortly. I'll probably make a video of it. I think Mike wants to go with the Army Tricks exhaust, the valved exhaust. So we're probably going to be putting an exhaust on it fairly shortly. Get rid of, this is like extremely restrictive exhaust. Like, I mean, you follow it all the way back, the mufflers and the resignators and everything that's on it, and you come up to the back. So I can see why all the guys with the GTRs like to change the exhaust out, because it's a restrictive exhaust, and we're going to be changing that shortly. Like I said, I'll get a video on it. We're going to change the exhaust out, put the valved exhaust in, and then take it down and get a Pro Tune put on it. I know we were talking at one point about maybe doing a turbo upgrade, but I don't know if we'll do that right yet. To be honest with you, I'm not too sure why he wants to get the exhaust and everything put on it. I guess he wants it to sound good when me and Jay are driving around in it, because they don't drive it. So, but anyway, I'm gonna get this oil plug in, and then I'll show you another trick up top when we start putting the oil in. So it takes 0.40 is the oil that it takes. I would obviously suggest using a good oil. We're using a Mobil 1 full synthetic, but it takes between 5 1/4 and 5 3/4 quarts. And I'll show you why. I'm going to put 5 quarts in, and then I'll explain to you why it uses a variance in oil. Okay, so I've got 5 quarts in. It takes between 5 1/4 and 5 3/4, and this is why. And there's a lot of people may not know this. If you look up in the owner's manual and you look up an oil change, it will tell you. And again, I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if I can get that focus for you guys. No. So right there's an H. Now most people fill up to that dot at the top of the line there. That's the full line. However, if you look up in the owner's manual, it will tell you that for maximum performance of the engine, to fill the oil 10 mils beneath the H. So it's going to be probably about there by the time we're done, because Mike and his wife don't drive the car, and me and Jay definitely want max performance when we're out smashing people and racing people light to lights, right, Jay? So again, very unique. Now, I don't know why they do this. They've got the H there, there's the dot, and it says for maximum performance, 10 mils, 8 to 10 mils beneath the H. Now, I don't know if that's because when you put a full 5 3/4 quarts in, if it's too high and it's splashing around the crank, or like, I'm honestly not too sure why they say for the maximum performance of the engine to fill it up 10 mils beneath the H, but that's what it says. And like I said, that's what we're going to fill it to today. We're going to go about 10 mils beneath the H, or 1 centimeter beneath the H for maximum performance. And again, there we are. We're about 10 mils beneath the H. Again, sorry for the focus, guys, but trust me on it, it's 10 mils beneath the H. So that's it for the oil. Now, I am going to change the rims on it. Again, I said before, the rims that are on it, they're the R888s, great track tires, tons of traction, extremely loud just driving down the road. The hum, the drone of the tires is just too much. So we're going to swap them over to Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, just for a little bit more comfort in driving on the road. And I'm going to do a brake inspection while I do it. So maybe if I see something in there, I'll let you guys know. But like I said, if you're doing your oil change, and honest to God, guys, like a GTR, everybody thinks that some crazy supercar that you can't do it yourself. It's a myth. It's just as easy to change your oil in this as it is a Cavalier. Like I said, the only two things that are a little bit, maybe people just don't know, maybe they do, the crush washer on the oil, definitely go buy one of those. They're like $1 or $2. It was put there for a reason. The GTR is one of very few cars that uses that crush washer on the oil, and it has to be replaced every time you do the oil. And like I said, you can fill it up to the top dot if you want. It's not a huge deal. But for maximum performance, and I don't know why, but for maximum performance, they ask it to be 10 mils beneath the H. So that's where we did the oil change today. Now I'm going to get it in the air and get the rims off. All right, so now the oil change done, I'll tell you how to clear the engine code. So it's not clearing a code. So we're going to wait for this to come up here. See if I can, I'll close that and see if we can get rid of those lights. Okay, so information. I'm going to push information down here to maintenance. I'm going to go on maintenance. Engine oil. So you can see here, we've got it set. So we've got it set for 5,000 kilometers on the distance. Now you can turn this up and down. You can adjust this 55, you know what I mean, and down. But you can see at 5,000 kilometers, there's the arrow on how close we were to 5,000. So we were pretty close. Not, you know, we still have a little bit to drive on it. But anyway, all you're gonna do right here, you're gonna reset distance, and that's it. We reset distance. You can see that it just went to 0 there, and that's it. We've got it set for 5,000 kilometers. We've reset the distance. Everything else is good. So we're gonna go up here, we'll go back to the main page, and back to maps. So that's it, guys. All right, so I'm gonna change the oil on the Z2. I figure it's a dry sump system, so it's a little bit different than your typical car as well. So I figured, you know what, I did the GTR. I'll throw this on the end of the GTR. Again, you don't have to take it to a dealership, guys. You can definitely do it yourself. It's a little bit trickier. Not trickier, but I mean, there's a little bit to it. There's different drain plugs, one for the dry sump system, one for the bottom of the oil pan, stuff like that. But definitely something that we can do. I'll show you how we're going to do it. Now, I've only lifted the car a foot off the ground. I'm going to climb on the ground only because the car is so low that to get those arms underneath of it, you can see that this one here, the front wheel, is at the thing, and it's all the way at the back, and I just don't feel comfortable lifting it up. I don't want to lift it crazy high in the air. So I'm gonna get on a creeper and climb underneath instead of lifting this one up, just because I don't want to have anything happen to it. But I'll show you over here real quick for those of you that don't know. I mean, I'm sure anybody that owns the car knows, but this is the oil over here. So this is your oil, your check. This is where it's going to go in. Now I went out to GM and I bought Dextos 530 full synthetic because it asks particularly for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain the oil out. Then when I put the oil in, I'm going to put it holds about 9.3 to 9.5 liters. I'm going to put 9 liters in. I'm going to run it for 5 minutes, heat cycle it, get everything going, and then I'll shut the engine off, and then I'll check it and add it up. But this here is a dry sump system, and like I say, there should be 2 oil plugs on this one, and then the oil filter. I'll climb underneath and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so I'm down under the car here. So here are the 2 drain plugs. This one here on the side, this is going to take any residual oil that's down inside the engine, because there is some in there. And when you take this one here out, this is going to make sure that tank up top drains, because it's like a dry sump system. Comes all the way off to the side, goes up to that tank. So you want to definitely take these plugs out and then let it drain. You're going to want to let it drain for 5 or 10 minutes at least, because you just want to make sure that all that oil from up top is going to come out. Also, because it holds like 9.5 liters of oil, you're going to want to make sure you've got a big oil pan to catch it all, because if you've got a 7 or an 8 quart oil pan catch can, what's going to happen is it's obviously going to overflow when you let it all out. So I'll get this off here and I'll see if I can show you guys as it's draining. It's a 15 mil. This is a 15 mil in case anyone's wondering. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. So I got both oil coming out. It is still golden brown. That's how little this car gets driven. This is Mike's car. So the GTR he bought for his wife. This is his car. Again, he doesn't really drive it too much. I think me and Jay put more kilometers on it than he does. And this is how crazy he is on maintenance. It's that is still brand new golden brown oil. It's probably only got 800K on it, but it's been sitting for a year, so we're gonna do an oil change on her anyway. Okay guys, so it's been draining for about 20-25 minutes. Got both of them back in there. Right here and right here. Got the new, and again, that's a GM filter. I just like using factory filters. They've got nothing to complain about if anything ever goes wrong. But those are the 2 bolts for this one here. Like I said, there is 2 of them. No different than any other oil change, guys. Like I say, for those guys that feel like they have to take it right to GM and pay $200 or $300 for an oil change, you definitely don't. It's these 2 here. It's this one right here, that one over there. You do have to let it drain for, you know, a good 20-25 minutes, just because all the oil's got to come out of those lines and stuff. But got the oil filter back on there. Everything's good, so we'll get her down, get her off the hoist, and I'll show you up top. Okay guys, so like I said, I showed you underneath the 2 drain plugs. We've got that. We've got all the oil filter done. This does suggest using the Dextos full synthetic, the 530. Again, I know it's a little bit more, and I'm sure that Mobil 1, I like Mobil 1 and AMS oil. I'm sure that it would be just as suffice in this situation. But because the car's only got 3,000K on it, if something ever did happen, I use all GM parts and I use the oil that they suggest on it, just so that if it's got to go back, you know what I mean, then they can't complain that we're not using the right oil and doing frequent oil changes. So yeah, I'm going to put 9 quarts in. I'll fire it up. I'm going to let it warm up. We'll bring it to temperature for 5 minutes or so. I'll shut it down, and then we'll top up and we'll make sure that everything is where it should be. So that's it, guys. That's changing the, so I've got, it's just running, it's just warming up now. But that's changing the oil on a GTR and a Corvette. I know the 2 cars, some people feel like, oh, the Z06, a dry sump, you got to take it into a dealership. Here in Canada, the dealerships charge anywhere from $250 to $325 for an oil change in this thing. And the GTR, same thing, it's a couple $100. I spent $100 on the oil, the crush ring, and the filter for the GTR, and about $110 for the Dextos oil and filter for the Corvette. So you can definitely save yourself some money, guys. like I said before, it's nothing that can't be done. I know some people feel intimidated by changing the oil on them, or if they have these cars, they don't want to do it. It changes just like any other car. So, but that's going to be the end of today's video. For those of you new to the channel that are tuning in, maybe because we're changing the oil on the GTR or the Corvette, not too sure. The channel is actually about building a car strictly on your guys' votes. You guys voted on a 1997 JDM Toyota Supra. It's getting a Veilside 4509 GTR body kit. It's going to look like this by the time it's done. And when it's done, we are giving it away to one lucky subscriber. So if you want your chance to win the car, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. And we'll see you in the next video.